Go.
Okay, hello Year 11. We're going to have a look at the last part of Paper 2 today. And what we're doing is we're making sure that we answer one of the questions that it gives us a choice over. I want you to answer question 5 because we've been learning water. That often means that you've got to flick forward a few pages. That's the food question. We're not doing that. We are moving straight into the water question, which is here. Okay? You need to let the examiner know that. Hopefully you've watched our previous videos and you've seen the questions you've got to answer. Nice thing about this part of the paper, 1 and 2 mark questions and then finishing with a 6 marker just means that as you get towards the end of the exam, you don't have to worry too much about writing long answers. You've done that earlier in the paper. Okay, so first question. We've got a world map showing water availability in 2025 and it's asking us to name one Asian or Middle Eastern country with extreme water scarcity. I'm going to use the key. Hopefully your copy in the exam will be a lot clearer than the photocopy we're using today. And it's asking me to look at Asian and Middle Eastern countries. So my Middle Eastern area is here, my Asian countries in this region here. And so I've got to find one with water scarcity, so I'm looking at that colour, very simply pointing to Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, so I'll just choose Saudi Arabia. Okay. Fortunately, I didn't have to memorise any countries to do that, I could just read straight off the resource. It's about an identification. Right, next question is asking me how many South American countries have abundant water supply. This time I do need to know my geography, so I've got to focus on this area being South America and I've got to look at abundant water supply. So it's this slightly, well, similar, it looks like a similar colour to last time, but my abundant water supply is here, here and here. So I look at my options, there it is, 3. Okay. Then it's asking me to do a percentage of those 13 countries in mainland South America. For that, I just need to do my 3 countries with abundant water supply divided by 13 times by 100 to answer that one. Okay, that would be my 2 marks for identifying 3 countries and then my percentage. After that, describe the distribution of countries with an extreme risk of water scarcity. So now I need to say where they are. It just wants me to tell the examiner where are the countries with extreme risk. So I'm using this again and I'm looking at this area, this extended area with extreme risk of water scarcity. It's a 2 mark question, so what I'm going to do for the 2 mark question is I'm going to say that it stretches from Morocco to Pakistan. Oh, have I spelled Morocco correctly? Beg your pardon, it's 1 R in Morocco, not 2. Okay, so stretches Morocco to Pakistan. So I'll get myself in a broad band. And I'm also going to say it moves mostly along the top of North Africa. Top of North Africa. So a bit of geographical knowledge there to pick up my 2 marks. Right, next 2 mark question. Outline one reason why some countries have an extreme risk of water scarcity. So thinking about those countries, thinking about those places, I know that they already have, rainfall variability because they are in locations that don't necessarily have reliable year-round rainfall, or they don't necessarily have rain that falls at a certain time of the year that they expect. So I'm saying about rainfall variability, and what I'll say then is this would be made worse by climate change as global weather patterns are expected to change. 2 marks. Last question in the paper, we got there. Using an example from an LIC or an NEE to explain how local strategies are being used. Now for this, you should recognise by now that LIC means low income country and NEE means newly emerging economy. There are various different examples you could use for this. Some of your teachers might have used the textbook, others might have used the revision guide. Either one is acceptable. Now, in this example, we're going to use the example from the textbook about local strategies. Now, it points out that this is in Rajasthan, which is a state of India, and it's happening in an area across that state called the Wackle River Basin. And all we need to do for these 6 marks is to think about what are the 3 methods that are being used. Excuse my pronunciation, but we've got tankers, joed, and pats. And we'd need to explain what each of these ones are. Tankers being underground water storage, but what they are as underground water storage is, which another name for those is aquifers. They're very small underground water storage. They are literally 3 to 4 metres deep and about 3 metres wide, and there would be lots of them across the area to use for watering crops. Second method with the joed is that these are small earth dams that capture rainwater, and they dam rivers that then create small reservoirs. They're very small, but what they've done is they've meant that the water table has been able to rise, and so rivers that would normally dry up in Rajasthan flow throughout the year and not just in the monsoon season when it's wetter. So we'd explain that point as well. So let's put joed, let's put small earth dams to help you if you're practicing this at home. Small earth dams. And then finally, the pats. Pats is another word for what's called an irrigation channel. And an irrigation channel is a direct route between a water source and the crops that the locals would like to water their crops with. And those irrigation channels, they're efficient, so they're direct routes from water source to fields, meaning that less water is lost through evaporation. And so it's a more efficient use of the water, so that less has to be used, and that conserves the water supply in an area where it's scarce. That's it. Hope you've got on well. Get lots of practice and revision done, and good luck in the exam.